There we go. Hello everyone, welcome back to the shop. I'm Alex McCumber, the president of the Wisconsin Computer Club. Apologies in advance for the noise. The furnace is running. It is winter in Wisconsin here. And the 3DO is running over here to give us some ambiance on one of these sets. And it's also quite loud. So hopefully you can hear me over the absolute cacophony of noise over this direction. And I'll get right on into it. I wanted to take a moment to look back on the previous year. As 2023 comes to a close here, I wanted to look at all the shows we took part in, that we set up and ran, and just some of the things that have transpired for the club. The club has grown immensely in the last calendar year, and we made a ton of great new friends, a lot of great new connections, and we've really expanded and grown the mission of really sharing and kind of just loving retro tech in our communities. We've managed to branch out to new organizations. We've managed to rescue things from recycling. We've managed to just get a lot of this old tech into the hands of newcomers, people who are fascinated by it but didn't really have the means to get into it before now. So we managed to really make a difference for a lot of people, and that's been significant. And my favorite thing about it, obviously, is I love the shows. I love taking out retro tech into the communities where people can see it and, look on and reminisce and wonder and experience things, in many cases, for the very first time. A lot of people have never seen this stuff set up in the wild before. What reason would a lot of these people have to keep some of this stuff or ever set it up or use it or, any of that sort of thing. So to have this stuff out in the public eye is always the most exciting thing for me, because you never know what you're going to see, how it's going to come together. And I just want to kind of look back on some of the shows. I'm going to show you all some pictures here so you don't have to look at my face the whole time. And just talk a little bit about them, my experience with them, how I thought that either we did well or we could have done better, or how I expect we're going to improve in the future, or even how we managed to improve over the course of the year. So, without further ado, let's begin. So first off, starting on January 21st of 2023, we attended EverCon. This is pretty much entirely thanks to Dean. I'm going to name drop a few members here. Dean reached out and said, "Hey, Alex, why don't you see if EverCon has room for us? They're a retro tech kind of thing. Why don't you talk to them?" So we did. We reached out and we got in touch with Mr. Josh Yeager, who is kind of the big wheel of the Game Huggers organization, and they said, yeah, come on down. And that was a huge boon to us. This was the biggest venue locally that we'd ever been involved in. So to basically be invited with open arms into this group and to have them, they've all just been wonderful. I cannot stress this enough. They have been absolutely wonderful to work with. We were able to set up all kinds of stuff in there. We were able to kind of share our core mission. We were able to kind of sync with their people. We got to meet all of their crew and kind of interact with them, and it was wonderful to meet people who had essentially the same overarching vision, of loving this old stuff and keeping it alive for the next generation to love and enjoy. And to be able to share that at this venue, that's essentially a celebration of gaming in all of its forms, was a tremendous privilege. And I am still looking forward to going back. I know that for the EverCon this last year in 2023, they were in January. I know that they'd gotten their dates bumped, so they had to kind of move and scramble to get everything put back together, and it came together beautifully, I think. On our end of things, we had a wide array of new equipment hitting the floor. We'd never had equipment go out for a show this long before, where it was out for multiple days. It was the debut for the Philips CDI. We didn't know how that was going to turn out. We had the Magnavox Odyssey 2. This was the endurance test for that. The ColecoVision, that was the endurance test for that. The Aquarius even went out for a little while, just to see how long that would go before it melted down. It went a long time. I was impressed. And we had a computer LAN set up. We tried doing a number of LAN things in 2021 and 2022, but we hadn't really given it a whirl in 2023, and we thought this would be a prime time to do it. Sam and I managed to put something together, and then as it broke down, Sam was always there to fix it, and despite its best efforts, despite the failures of multiple machines, we managed to make that thing work, and it was really quite the cool experience to be able to play in a local multiplayer PC LAN again, which is something that I always enjoy, but it's so hard to find these days. They just don't have them. So taking that experience we had with EverCon and with the the friendships that we've fostered and the alliances we've kind of forged in steel now. Our next efforts at the next EverCon coming up in March here of 2024 is going to be, it's going to be terrific. I think it's going to be a really good show, and I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, EverCon was a great show. A really good time was had by all, and I think everybody's looking forward to the next one. So our next show on the list here is the Macintosh Show, starting up on February 11th, 2023. It was held at the Stevens Point Library. It was our first open house show, so most of the room was kind of dedicated to whatever. But the idea is brilliant. I maintain the idea is brilliant. But absolutely everything that could go wrong did. The idea was pretty straightforward. So you're going to have one example from each major iteration of the compact Macintosh family, going from the oldest to the newest. So in our case, our parameters were we were going to go between the first generation Macs, probably a Mac Plus because they're the easiest to find, down to the iMac G5, which is basically the form factor that Macintosh is still sold in today. That's their desktop format for the most part. And so we thought, okay, between all the members and myself, we can get everything put together. We can get one working example of every machine out there and running. And, if one or two go down, it'll be fine, because Macs are notoriously unreliable. I have found Macintosh computers to just be some of the worst when it comes to reliability. You can have it working great the night before, and I could rage about this forever. But like I said, pretty much everything that could go wrong did. People got sick. Weather wasn't great. The timing of it wasn't super. The way that it was set up, we had some conflicts that way. And the machine started breaking down pretty much immediately. I had a Macintosh Plus that was essentially stable and fine for 3 or 4, no, probably more like 5 years at that point. And I plugged it in for the test, and it blew something in the floppy drive, like smoke in the whole bed. So that was the end of that one, and it's still dead to this day. And it was really downhill from there. It's like every other machine was broken. Every other machine broke down to the floor. Every other machine, some wouldn't even start. We had like the iMac G3, we couldn't even get that to start. The Molar Mac, couldn't even get it to start. Excuse you. I don't know if you guys can hear that. The 3DO is like having a bad time over there. Anyway, as I was saying, the Macintosh Show, we had, I believe, pretty much one example of every major transitional compact Macintosh there. I think we had maybe 4 machines running. And of those 4, I think we had 2 that actually had games on them. So it was... I don't want to say it was a complete disaster, but it was pretty darn close. So, I mean, granted, it was due to the weather, the show wasn't like crazy attended or anything, and we hadn't gone huge on the advertising that way, so that was probably good on our part. But that's probably, I would say safely, probably the worst show that we put together, and it was no one's fault. No one's fault except for maybe Steve Jobs and Apple. These machines are they're so finicky, and there's so many things that can go wrong with them. Everything from caps to drivers to hard disks to power supplies to if you've got your SCSI things adapted wrong, or your floppy emulators not connected properly, or they're not configured properly. Nothing wants to work. And I guess the big takeaway was that was the show that taught me, like, I love retro tech, and I love so many facets of retro tech. I don't care for Macintosh. I mean, I maintain a few machines for the fleet, but to actually use them, to actually play with them, Macintosh is not my thing. And that was the show that taught me that Macintosh is not my thing. But you live, you learn, and that was the Mac Show, and we learned a lot from that. So I think that when you have something go that spectacularly wrong, you do learn a lot, and the learning experience was invaluable. So I think all of our shows benefited from the Macintosh Show being the kerfuffle that it turned out to be. Yeah, because we bounced right along onto our next open house show a couple months later on, that'd be April 29th. That was our next open house show, and that was the Zilog Z80 show. This one had the basic theme of, if you have a machine that is powered by a Zilog Z80 processor, you bring it on in. Granted, it wasn't a hard and fast rule. We had other machines there. We had an Amiga. We had a couple other, we had like the PlayStation, that kind of thing set up as well. But it was a surprising array of machinery. We had little slab top microcomputer things. We had the Osbornes come out. We had both of them come out. We had the Master System come out. We had just a lot of really unusual equipment across a wide range of the club. And pretty much everybody could be there, I think, at that point in time. We had some new exhibitors at that time. We had just a lot of public interaction with that one. It was a very busy show. And I thought that was a tremendous show. That was a lot of fun. And then to be able to kind of go, oh, well, there's one processor powers this entire array of weird machines it was a very cool spread. It made a lot of cool photos. It made for a lot of good times. So I should probably say for most of these, I take pictures very early in the shows, so there's not a whole lot of people in the pictures, but it is what it is, I guess. The open house show for the Z80 show actually opened up the door to another opportunity for us with the Riverfront Arts Center, which started up on May 11th. And that was, they had their, I'm not even going to be able to pull it out now. It was like the Electronic Visions or something. This is going to bother me now. It was basically their digital art show, and it was pretty much anything you could make with a computer, that kind of thing. And their director reached out to me and said, hey, would you guys be interested in displaying any of this stuff at our show? To which I said, well, we can, but, some of the equipment here, is kind of variable. If you're going to run it for an entire art show for a month, it's going to, you're going to need some kind of stable things. And I said, oh, okay, that's fine. Well, we just want to see some of this stuff. And she gave me a list of things she wanted to see, and we were able to match those up with that. And lo and behold, we had a display there. We had the Atari 400 set up in their vestibule, and we had the Osborne set up at the tail end of their display, and it didn't blow up, which is incredible. I'm so thankful for that. And yeah, it was a great show. They had a pretty good turnout for that. Their artists did very well. It was a very interesting kind of show for the compositions and everything that was put together. And like I say, to be part of that was very cool, to be a part of the Stevens Point community event that way, beyond what would normally be considered kind of our wheelhouse for retro tech. Gave us a good opportunity to get out there and get more people interested in what we do, which was very exciting. So yeah, that was fantastic. After that, on June 21st, Mr. Yeager from the Game Huggers Evercon group set up a side quest, which is their equivalency, I guess, of what we would call an open house show. They had that set up at a little, I don't know, kind of, I don't want to call it a bar, because it wasn't really a bar per se. I mean, I guess it had a bar in it, but a little place in Rothschild, very cool little place. And it was all Atari themed. And so once again, we were invited to that. I dragged out a couple of machines that were unusual or new to us at the time. We had, I think, the XE was new to us at that point, so that rolled out there. And so we were able to kind of play around with their equipment, and we got to kind of share some of our equipment with them, and once again, just kind of interact with their team, their crew, and some of the locals there who just happened to be stopping by and were able to experience the old tech with us. And that was a lot of fun. We had a really good time with all that. And from there, they were like, hey, there's this other show coming up in Wausau. Are you interested in being a part of that? And I said, oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. So come around. It's August 17th, and we are invited to the Marathon County Historical Society for their retro game night. Typically, they do board game nights. It's at this point, it was the Thursday nights. They're moving to Friday nights, so going forward, it'll be Friday nights. But they want to do video games as a kind of break from form. Usually they're focused more on old board games, old card games. It's more kind of aimed at, I guess, I mean, kids are of course welcome, but it's aimed at kind of an older audience. But they said, we want to get a whole bunch of kids involved, so we think video games are going to be a good way to get in. So they had a few machines that were all set up, and then Mr. Yeager and his crew brought some, and then we brought a whole bunch, and it was a huge turnout. They said that was their biggest show at that point to date in terms of attendance. It was busy all the way through from the time we started setting up to the time, basically until they turn off the lights to get everybody out of there. So it was a huge deal, and that was a great show. We had a lot of fun there. Everybody who was involved in that one had a great time, and yeah, we've been regulars with them ever since. So once again, that is thanks to Josh Yeager and the Game Huggers. If they hadn't said, "Hey, come crash this with us," we wouldn't have ever known. So, and that's been huge for them as well. The Marathon County Historical Society, because they're trying to reach out and get their historical message out to the kids, to the youth, and that kind of thing as well. And so being able to bring kids into their facility and say, "Hey guys, this is what we are, this is what we do," and not only kids but their parents as well. Then it helps benefit them as well as us. So pretty much everybody wins then. We're helping preserve history on multiple fronts then, which is even better. Right after that, we had on August 19th, so just a couple days later, we were at EgoCon. EgoCon is an old convention that is held in and around the Stevens Point area and has been for like 20 some odd years now. It's organized by the NUFOD organizations, or the Northeastern Wisconsin Friends of the Doctor, yes, which is, they're a Doctor Who fan group for the most part. They do other sci-fi and other kind of that sort of thing, but they do pretty much a little bit of everything that way. Their convention, of course, it brings in fantasy authors and sci-fi people and fans of all sorts and cosplay, and typically they bring in the groups who make the Daleks, the replica Daleks, and those are pretty cool to see. And this was their first one after COVID. They really were trying to rebuild EgoCon, and they made kind of a call out to the community like, "Hey, who wants to be part of this?" And I said, absolutely, we'd love to have a table there. So we set up. It was pretty good day for it. Nice summer day, good venue for it because it's air conditioned, and because it was in the curling center of all places. Kind of an unusual place in Plover there, but we had a big open space. It was air conditioned. It was great. So we were able to set up shop there and got to share our stuff with kind of a new audience that way, and invite more people to our shows and future events. And it was wonderful. It was a great show. And hoping that they're able to continue to rebuild and turn EgoCon into something kind of significant for Stevens Point again, because that's an old show that's been around for a very long time, and it's been kind of a celebration of nerddom and geekdom for a very long time. So I'm glad to see that not only is it continuing, but it's being gradually rebuilt, which is wonderful. So right after EgoCon on August 26th, we had LinkCon. LinkCon is in Merrill. LinkCon is kind of a mini EverCon. It's board games, it's video games, it's a little bit of everything. And again, it is basically a celebration of gaming in all of its forms. And we again were invited to this. We had an entire room basically given to us so I could bring out all kinds of unusual and weird stuff. We had a phony PlayStation that put off so much RF interference it was messing with TVs in another room. It was quite the show. It was very well attended. We had a lot of people there. We got to see pretty much all the crew from EverCon again. We got to just kind of interact with a lot of old friends and new friends again, and it was tremendous. We had a great time there, and what more can I say? It was a great show. I'm looking forward to the next one. So it's going to be sometime next summer. So hopefully we'll see you there. It's in Merrill. It's probably the biggest show in Merrill, and it's a great time. So next on, we had starting on September 1st, we had No Brand Con. No Brand Con has had a number of homes. They've been kind of on the western side of Wisconsin. They were in the Dells for many years, and now they are moved back to Stevens Point for reasons I'm not entirely sure of. It sounds like kind of they've had different members of their team have kind of split off and gone different ways and whatever, so they're trying to bring it back and kind of reestablish the convention in Stevens Point. And I am 110% down for anybody who wants to bring a big convention to Stevens Point again, especially one that's all about, kind of nerdy things. So I was like, hey, can we help out? Can we join in? What can we do for you guys? And it was a lot of fun. They had a couple tables set aside for us in their ambassador hall, which is where other like conventions would basically be set up to hand out business cards and register people for their shows and whatnot. They had some room for us there, so we had I think we had the Atari out, we had the PlayStation out, I think we had the N64 out, and it was just free games set up where people could play with them essentially 24/7, because the convention ran 24/7 for like three or 4 days, and it was a lot of fun. We got a lot of compliments on that one. We had a lot of new signups on that one. A ton of people joined the organization, and we're very excited to be part of what we do on the gaming front of things, who might not have otherwise, seen that or been part of that there at the show. Well, they did have gaming there. Gaming was kind of a secondary thing. They were much more focused on anime and animation, books, comics, that kind of thing. That was much more their focus. But to be able to bring gaming in there and to be able to offer this stuff, again, for free, and to just kind of open this up and be like, hey, guys, here's what we do, here's how we do it, and, have some fun while you're here. It's always a fun thing to do, and we got to make a lot of new contacts and connections here in the Stevens Point area, which, again, is always great. I really hope that No Brand Con continues to grow and do well. I would love for them to stay in Point. It's a great location there. With the Holiday Inn, and the people who run it are great, and it's a really cool show, and I hope that, I know that they didn't quite get the attendance they wanted this year, but as their first outing, I think as it grows, people in the community, especially here with the university here, are really going to embrace it, so I think it's going to do well. I certainly want to be a part of it, and I would love to step up our involvement next time around, so fingers crossed we'll have that happen. So after No Brand Con, which 8 days later, we had the Vintage Computer Festival Midwest. This will be our second year as a exhibitor at this show. Typically, I would go there and I would get rid of a bunch of our old junk and I'd turn that into cash, and then we'd go and buy cables with and other adapters and things there at the show. It is the best place to buy things like blue SCSIs and aftermarket power supplies and RGB adapters and all this, all that kind of equipment. You buy it right from the vendors there at the show floor. You get to talk to them. You get to have them, in some cases, you can help you set them up. It's great fun. It was a great show. I was absolutely thrilled to be there again. We got to see a lot of the big YouTube stars that, are making a lot of this old retro tech stuff not only popular but possible. A lot of the tips and tricks I've used to fix things right here have been from the likes of Adrian Black or Ben Heck or LGR or 8-Bit Guy or that kind of thing. Basically what I know, a lot of the stuff that I know, I learned from these guys. So to be able to go there and see them in person and say, hey, you rock, keep going, has been, it's always a lot of fun. And then, of course, to be able to see all the unusual things, to be able to see a Video Brain, to be able to see the weird Amigas, the Casio Lupis, the Sharp 68000s, all the weird stuff that, it's unlikely we're ever going to get our hands on because it's not really our kind of thing, but to have the experienced pros, the people who have them completely kitted out and completely beautifully restored, set up, and to let you kind of experience them is always a lot of fun. So I was really, really excited to be there and be part of that, and we had a great time, I feel. So, looking forward to the next one of those. I'm not sure what it's going to look like. It was incredibly busy, to the point of people are packed in shoulder to shoulder busy. So I'm not sure if they're going to use the same venue again going forward or what, but I'm excited to see what VCF Midwest turns into, because it's growing and growing and growing and growing, and it's got something's going to give because we're running out of room. So after that, we had on October 7th, we had the Milk Show. Milk is the Mid-State Independent Living Choices. It's a organization that helps individuals with disabilities overcome those or work with them or to get them the help that they need through various organizations or companies or that kind of thing. And they wanted, they reached out to us and said, hey, we have this front boardroom. I know you guys have been looking for a place to hold your shows and things, because at this point the library was pretty much booked solid for the rest of the year. And I said, yeah, absolutely. Can we set up there? And they're like, absolutely, come on down. So we had the show there. It was basically an open house format show. Attendance was so-so, given kind of the location of it, and this is our first time there and that kind of thing. But we had a lot of cool equipment set up for the first time. This 5200 had its debut there. We all got forklift certified on the CDI. It was a lot of fun. And it was a good event. It was a good time, and I'm looking forward to the next one whenever we can get another one on the calendar. So, it was fantastic. On October 23rd of 2023, we had our first show at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point Archives in the Trainer Natural Resources Building. And that is a fun little show there. It's fairly busy. There's a lot of people who come in. It's not a huge space that they've got there. It's in their workroom there that they have basically cleaned out for us. The tables along 3 walls. And we set up there. We had all kinds of video game consoles for the most part. We had a couple of oddballs. I think we had the Osborne there for the first time. Yeah, we definitely had the Osborne there with the worst version of Pong. Not Pong, Pac-Man. Yeah, it's a terrible version of Pac-Man. Dude, it's not a good version of Pac-Man. But we'd set up in there. We met a ton of new people. We had a ton of people come out and just to play the games, to experience the games, and we actually had a ton of signups off of that one. A lot of people joined the club. They were excited to be a part of that. So to have people who were like, hey, yeah, I came down to play video games, but hey, I want to play games with you guys more in the future. So we had more people sign up and more things to do things. So hopefully we'll get those people to come to other events and other venues. And oh my goodness, it'll be great fun for everybody. So after that, November 25th, we had our first open house show at the Rapids Library. Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin is about 25 minutes from Point, and it's a big library, very big library, very old school, but they had a nice multi-purpose room in there for us. We were able to set up in there. It was a little bit hot. I'll have to take that into account in the future, at least if we have more shows during the winter. But they had a good lineup for us there. We were able to do our show with the Tandy Color Computer lineup. We had all the Tandy Color computers all lined up. So we had the 1, the 2, the 3, and the MC10 all fired up and running all at the same time. So that was kind of fun to have the whole range there, so to speak. We also had the TRS-80 Mod 1, although it's unrelated. We had the iToy broken out, which was fun to see kids interact with that. A lot of kids, they're used to motion control. Motion control is a thing that we have now. So to be able to go back and say, like, no, this is what motion control was back in the old days is kind of funny to see. So we had that. That was a good show. I'm excited to go back there again. They were very accommodating. The library staff there were excited to have us there, who were bringing in something that was kind of fun for everyone, including them. So I'm excited to go back there again at some point in the future here. That was a good show. After that, on December 16th, not too long ago here, we had our second UWSP archive show. Pretty much same as the first one. We had different exhibitors on this one. We had a different range of machines set up on this one because we kind of tailored it more to what people had really liked at the first one, and we had a really good turnout for that one as well. A lot of people came out. We had kids beating games left, right, and center. We had Smash players. We had Battlefront. We had the Sequest. We had all kinds of games. It was a good time. So that was a good show. Again, pretty much the same as the last couple. I'm really looking forward to when we can start doing those again in the next semester. So that's going to be fun for the university students. It's going to be fun for us. It's going to be fun for the community because that's open to everybody. So, and then our last show of 2023 was, we had our last show at the Marathon County Historical Society, their second retro video game night on December 21st, just a few days ago as of this recording. And again, this is a wonderful show. We had a big range of exhibitors come out. We had a lot of kids come out. We had a lot of people come to play games, like board games and the video games, and it was a great time to come on out. We got to see all kinds of unusual things that way with, we had like consoles set up, but we had like kind of the obscure consoles. We had the modded PS1, we had some of the N64 and that kind of thing, playing some of the oddball games and that sort of thing. So we got to kind of share some of the cool stuff with the kids that they might not have ever experienced, hands-on before. So once again, just kind of, even the kids, it's funny, they'll see stuff like this, like these TVs, and they're like, oh my gosh, a lot of kids, it's hard to, for me at least, it's hard to imagine, but, to have kids that have grown up that have never seen one of these in person, that, this big box TV, unless they've gone to unless they've like school or something like that, they may not have ever had one in their house. They may not have ever experienced the CRT TV, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, so that is the 2023 year in review. I think this year was fantastic. It got a little bit crazy there between August and September. That was just kind of how dates fell. It was like every weekend was a show. I thought it was kind of fun. I know other people thought it was a little bit hectic, so we'll try and space things out a little bit better if we can in 2024. But I'm basically keeping up the pace. I figure, hey, if people want to have events and shows with us, I am looking forward to having them. I invite all of you who are interested in exhibiting to come on down and join us. It's a great time. It's great fun. You get to not only see the things that other people have brought, but also you get to share what you brought with not only the club, but with the community. And it's a ton of fun to get together and be able to basically play games with your friends and share that with new people, to bring new people into the fold, to share the things that you love with them. And this has been a terrific year for it, and I'm really excited for 2024 because everything we've learned from 2023 is going to make the Wisconsin Computer Club and our partners even better, stronger, faster, and we're going to be able to do what we do so well, even better in the days, weeks, and months ahead. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you all so very much for indulging me on this really long, obnoxious video. Bonus points for all of you who have counted how many times I said, and like, because I've said that about a million times in this video. And for bearing with my my noisy furnace and the 3DO that is quiet-ish now. Oh, it's like broken down. Like stopped working altogether. Okay. Well then, well, looks like I got something to work on. Thank you all so very much for watching. Have yourselves a tremendous day and a very happy 2024.